So we are talking today about some great stuff. And so I definitely want to make sure that you are, you're on, you have your questions ready, because this is, I think, one of the biggest downfall. Well, it has to be the biggest downfall for most businesses. And that is not starting the company the way that you want the company to end or grow or be. And that is financially sound. And starting it in a way that you're going to be able to grow it and scale it. I guess the first step is sustaining it and make sure it's sustaining you. And so I always want to talk about these kinds of things because I think that it's not talked about nearly enough. And I know for me personally, it wasn't one of the things that people took me aside and said, look, you need to do these 8 steps before you start your business to make sure that it's built, financially sound. So I had to learn a lot along the way. I had to call on a lot of people. I had to learn a lot from various people. And I had to hire certain people to help. And so I am super excited to be talking to one of my colleagues, one of my friends, one of the people that I have called to in financial distress. And she has always come to my rescue. So Tay Lee is an international best-selling author, speaker, coach, and trainer. She's based out of Birmingham, Alabama, as you will soon see. She produces diverse streams of income in the areas of tax, real estate, insurance, and the financial industry. She is also the author of other, financial literacy books. She's got a money success planner, a money success planner for the high schoolers, which is needed. And her motto is never go broke. She uses books, curriculum, workshops, speaking engagements, interviews to spread her financial knowledge so that others can experience successful entrepreneurship with the freedom and money to live life on their own terms. So, hey, Tay.
Hello.
Bring all that Birmingham on in. She swears she doesn't sound like she's from Birmingham, but you sound exactly like you.
I do. I sound like I'm from up north.
Oh, please. Please. And so let's start here. Tell me a little bit about you. And I know that you've made your transition as well into being a full-time entrepreneur. So you certainly know the struggle, if you will. But why did you decide that, one, that you wanted to, work in the financial literacy scape? And 2, tell me about the never go broke motto. Where did that come from?
So the never go broke motto. The never go broke motto, it came about just because I've been broke before. And I don't ever want to be there again. And so I do any and all things to never go broke. And when you say broke, everybody can relate to it.
Yeah.
They don't have to try to figure out what it means. I don't care if they're a 2-year-old or 85-year-old. When you hear broke, you like, kids say, I know some broke people. Grown folks be like, man, I'm so tired of being broke. So everybody knows what it is. It's not
okay. Okay, I got to stop you because I think the most fascinating thing about this is there's all sorts of different kinds of broke, right? And so I think people assume that like once they get to a certain level, that they will never know what it's like to be broke again. And so I just want to, because, you look at these people who are like, they're Insta fame and they're celebs on Pinterest or whatever, they're rocking it out on LinkedIn and they look, and it looks like they're generating all this income and they very well could be. But, sometimes when you get to a certain lifestyle, one client doesn't come through, one agency doesn't pay, and you can experience broke as well, even though you may have a revenue generating business. Can you talk about that just a little bit before I let you finish your intro?
Okay, so when she talks about different levels of broke, I think everybody has their own definition of it. Cause when I get to like a certain amount, I'm like, oh Lord, I feel broke. But then they broke could be $1. My broke could be 100,000. So it just really depends on what your broke looks like. And I'm not going to say everybody has experienced broke because it just depends on your lifestyle and how you were brought up. But for me, I'm trying not to ever get there again. And I just think I always say we need to start stop living paycheck to paycheck. Some people's paycheck to paycheck, maybe like you said, that one contract that didn't come through. Some people paycheck to paycheck can be every 2 weeks. Some people's paycheck can be year to year, because I know a lot of people and entrepreneurs that live year to year. So I think that we all need to transition from being paycheck to paycheck, year to year, every week, every 2 weeks, once a month, to always having the balance sheet to where it just feels better and looks better, and you always have money coming in.
You're like doing the cheer dance. And let me just say, because I don't really want to talk about tactics, I guess, if you will, because I mean, there are all sorts of things you can do. I mean, we know that Donald, like businessmen like Donald Trump, like they file bankruptcy and they come out even richer. There's all sorts of things that you can do, but one of your principles is about building generational wealth and not generational debt. And there are some very solid fundamental blocks that you can put in place in order to make sure that your foundation is sound for your business. So we're not going back to your intro because I introduced you. So okay, because it's like I'm ready to talk about this now. So let's talk about some of those. Like if you're ready to formalize your business, because there's a lot of people out there that just have a glorified hustle. When you're ready to formalize your business, what are some of the very basic things that we should think about when it comes to finances?
I think one of the most important things you should do when it comes to formulating your business is you need to know your ideal client. That's always important. I tell people that all the time. I say even the dope boy knows who his ideal client is, because you can't serve everyone. You can't cater to everyone. You'll end up catering to everyone, and then things don't work out the way you want it to. So you have to know who your ideal client is, what they want, what they're going to spend money on, and what they love. I always say Chick-fil-A is not the best to me. It's not. But the one thing that they offered, and they saw the complaints of McDonald's and Burger King's, they wanted to give great customer service. So people go there and you spend $10 on a meal that is not,
Yeah, well, we're based in Dallas, so we don't even want it as blasphemy.
Yeah. No, I'm not saying it's not good, but I am saying that they knew who their ideal client was, how to cater to them in order to make money. That's why they can close on Sundays and still make
I was just getting ready to
everybody else. That's how they can close on Sundays.
Somebody, told me once that clarity is cash, right? So being very clear on your ideal client, because you're right. I mean, I really think that if you are all over the place, people cannot make a decision that you're the person they need to work with, because they just can't tell. They can't self-identify themselves. And so you're working overtime, because you're not speaking to who, you should be speaking to. And that's fine if it's the beginning entrepreneur who may not have the budget of the baller or whatever. If that's your ideal client, then service them to death, and you will always be generating revenue. If it's the high client, you have to speak to them. They all come with their different messaging and their different flows,
and what they love,
their pain points and all of that. So you have to really be very clear about who exactly that you're talking to. So let's talk about the next thing. So now we're clear on who we want to be our ideal client. What's the next step?
You got to know your numbers.
I hate that step.
You got to know your numbers. It's so
I'm learning to love it, but oh my God.
It's so many people that do not know their numbers. They think they're making all this money, but in actuality, they are really broke. Like
there's a lot of numbers that you should know. So let's start with that. So they're the financial numbers that you should know. And so let's break those down. Like if you had to say that there were 3 really important numbers that you should know from day one, what are those numbers?
If something the 3 that you should know from day one, you should know your expenses, your cash flow, and your profit. I think those are the 3 big things that you should know. Like if you know those things, it'll really help you along the process. Because I always give this example. Oh, I made $500 at this event, but how much did you spend to be at that event?
Right.
I don't know what I spent. I don't know. Well, what was your profit? I mean, I made $500, but you didn't keep track of anything. So you borrowed from your personal, you took some money from here. You don't know where anything is at. And so you have to know what your expenses are, what your profit is. You have to know all of those things, because if you don't know numbers, you won't be financially sound. And I don't care what anybody else says.
Okay, so now
your numbers, don't believe them.
So now I'm I'm hyper vigilant about numbers. And so even because it's like I'll work with coaches or, people, and we'll create like an online course or something. And, they figure once it's created, that they really don't have to worry about what went into creating it. But I'm like, you're creating a $97 a person course, but you just paid $6,000 to somebody to set up your website to deliver this course. Yeah, we've got a real issue. We've got to sell a lot of courses.
You have to get enough people in for it. And people don't look at that.
And so I know you don't even want to talk about a $6,000 course. So
because I always tell people, I'm like, I understand what you're trying to do and you want to spend the money for this and you want to spend the money for that, but you don't know anything about your numbers. You don't know the numbers in your business. You don't even know if your clients are going to buy it. So you go out and you spend $10,000 on a website to get this built, but you don't have one client that's going to buy it.
Well, we've gotten to the point now where I won't even let a client build anything until they have people, they have clients.
Right.
Because it doesn't make sense. It's like, if you don't even know people want this and we're investing all this money just to say you have a course, it doesn't make sense. So let's talk about the P&L profit and loss sheet, because that, like, I had a headache for 2 days after I had to try to figure that out. So does everybody need one?
Yes, that's easy. That's easy. It's nothing. It's no way around it. You don't need to skip it. It doesn't matter if you're not making any money. You still need to know what your profit and loss is. You have to know you have to know your numbers. Listen to me when I say this. You have to know your numbers. If you don't know your numbers, you will not succeed, because when you don't know your numbers, you can get somebody else to take over your numbers, but you don't know anything about them. So that's how a lot of people get stolen from. You don't even know the basics with your business and the fundamentals of it. You have to know the fundamentals of your business. If you have a product, how much did it cost you to make that product? You need to know how much it cost you to make that product.
Exactly.
If you have to spend money on a vending event, how much does that vending event cost you? If you're selling yourself, how much time did it take to sell yourself?
Selling your expertise. If you're selling your expertise.
If you're selling your expertise, how do you know how much to charge for that? You have to put numbers on everything. You can't avoid numbers. When you avoid numbers, it's really hard for you to succeed. It's really hard to see if you can grow. You don't know your ratios. You don't know your left from your right, your front from your back. So I always tell people, go ahead and start working on your numbers now, even if your number is a $1. That's $1 than you had, because when you get to $1 million, you can know how you got there instead of trying to figure it out when you actually get $1 million.
Yeah, it's and you're probably more into the detailed numbers than I am. That's why I hire people to do that. But I'm always a little taken back from people who don't know, like, the goal. Like, they don't even have a goal. Like, they don't have a revenue goal. Like, if I ask, like, I can name clients right now. If I ask them, what is your 2020 revenue goal, or what is your 2019 revenue goal, they'll be like, I just want to make a profit. Like, really?
Yeah. And that happened last night. So last night in my class, Money Success 365, she had an event this weekend. She had an event this weekend. I said, well, how much do you want to make? She was like, well, I'm not sure. I said, oh, well, we're about to get out pen and paper, because we're going to figure this out tonight. Because you have to know what you're going to make. Even if you don't necessarily make the goal, you have something to look forward to. You can figure out if you need to raise your prices, if you need to lower your prices, if this event may not be for you, what you need to change, how you can get more people to buy it. So you always have, you gotta have a goal. I always give myself a goal. I'm like, I'm making this much.
And you're funny, because you like goals for some things, but you don't like goals for everything. And so Tay has this phenomenal membership course, Money 365, and it meets every week. It's a monthly membership course, and you get all sorts of information and homework on your numbers.
Lots of homework.
But it has been so beneficial, because even just we did this one exercise where you talk about the things that you want, and then possibly how you can get those same things for a lesser amount of money. And it was fascinating just doing it for a week to see that, so I really want a Starbucks. And when I get a Starbucks, it's like an $8 cup of coffee. How can I figure out how to get that same, whatever satisfaction I get from that Starbucks cup of coffee for a lesser price? And it really gets they always say that when you give your mind a challenge, it like goes and sorts and figures it out. And so I was like able to buy like Starbucks gift cards on Groupon. And I mean, I was doing all sorts of things just to
maximize your money.
That price.
Maximizing your money.
I saved in the first week that I did that, just on things that I do normally, I saved close to, I think it was $127 just figuring out different ways to do things. So, and so we'll tell you more about the class, but it's phenomenal. You know, we all work together. Like Tay said yesterday, there was a work day. And so we all work together and, you know, give each other little tips of advice. But Tay really is our financial guru that is leading us to wealth and building generational wealth for our families. So after you know your numbers, like what's kind of the next thing?
After you know your numbers, you need to go and get a relationship with a banker and an account. You may not need an account up front, but you need to go ahead and start building a relationship with them. And a banker is what you need. A banker is what you need. A banker helps you with your business. It helps you secure, they can help you secure money. They know you by name. They get you through loopholes that you may or may not be able to get through. And like I always tell people, have more than one. Don't just build a relationship with one person. Build them with multiple ones.
I sent Tay a text. I was like, I need a new bank because I have been like that one mega bank girl for a long time until they screwed me over. And I'm not going to name them. I'm not going to name them, but I went and then I found two banks actually. And Tay was like, check out your credit unions. And what I didn't know just from that little, I had forgotten that when I bought my last car, I got the loan through a credit union and they automatically opened up accounts, like a checking account and a savings account at this credit union that I have never, ever used. And I've had this car like 3 years, never, ever used it. So I was like, I got a credit union. And so now we're opening a business account there. I got a personal checking and savings, business checking and savings. And then and I'm going to give them a shout out because they were absolutely phenomenal. But when I was speaking in Houston not too long ago, I met the representatives, Trisha and Tracy from Frost Bank. And they're mainly a Texas bank, but they sent me a birthday card. Now I've known these people a week and a half. They sent me a birthday card.
That's dope.
Isn't that dope?
Because a lot of places don't do
never
that.
sent me a birthday card. I'm just gonna say all my money that's gone through Bank of America, they've never sent me a birthday card. So, what I just told. But anyway.
Yeah, I was gonna say that was not secret.
No. So developing a relationship, I'm like super excited about it because it's like I can email them directly and they call me back and they met me at the brand. I mean, it's just been phenomenal.
Yeah, it's always good to have more than one. You got to have more than one because what somebody else won't do, the other one might do it. And if you have that relationship, you're able to be like, I know y'all can do it. But if you have a relationship with no bank or just one, it may be harder for you to do a lot of things when it comes to your business. Because I could go on and on about when you first start a business, the bank usually not going to give you any money. But that's a whole nother lie. So we're going to
say, I want to talk about business credit, but I think that would be too deep in the weeds for this.
Yeah, that's a whole different ball game.
Yeah, a whole different conversation. So I think the other big thing, financial hang up that most new businesses go through and some old businesses is taxes. So from the very beginning, how can we set ourselves up not to fall into this huge annual tax payment that some businesses in because they're absolutely not prepared to pay it?
Oh, did you read my blog this week? I feel like you read my blog. I suggest setting up quarterly payments. I always suggest setting up quarterly payments. I think quarterly payments are good because you're able to go ahead and start putting the money out that you're making. Because so many people say, I'm going to knock off all these deductions at the end of the year, but nobody's going to give you money for your business if all you made from your business is $10,000. It's not going to happen. So until you get to Amazon level, you have to pay taxes.
Right.
It's just part of it. You have to make a choice. Do you want money from the bank? Do you want money for your business? Do you want money to grow? Or do you not want to pay taxes? Just go ahead and start paying.
Yeah, but you can't not pay taxes because they'll come after you, right?
Oh yeah.
So that's really not an option. And I don't know. I remember it's like I haven't had a lot of dealings with the IRS, but I remember one year something wasn't claimed. And I don't know who didn't claim it. But
they're coming back for you.
I was like, are you serious over $95? Like, really?
I mean, that's all it was. It was $95.
It was such, I didn't even realize it. But when they come for you, they come for you.
Yeah.
And at first I was like, it's $95. I'm not gonna worry about it. And then I got that next month notice where they tack all that interest and it's then like $200.
Yeah, the IRS is funny, but I just go ahead and start. I just say, go ahead, take the money off up front when you get those big checks, when you make money from your business and stuff, especially when you're claiming it. Just go ahead and do it because you have to pay it. Yeah. Now, like I say, maybe if you have kids and maybe you have this and you have that, but that's a lot of maybes. Just go ahead. If you have an account, talk to your account about going ahead and setting up quarterly payments. If you don't have an account, you can always go to irs.gov. It'll give you the information about paying your quarterly taxes. But go ahead and do it.
Accountant or an account?
No, I have an accountant.
No, I'm asking. You're telling us if we have an accountant.
Oh, if you have an accountant, they can help you with it. If you don't have an accountant, no. If you, a lot of people don't have business accounts.
Well, that's true too.
That's another lie. That's another lie. But if you have an account, get them to set it up. If you don't have an account, you can always do the research for yourself. But when you're starting out, if you're able to afford it, try to get somebody who is better than you that knows how to do it to help you with it, because them helping you up front will help you in the long run. And it's just whatever.
Agreed. I agree. I mean, I think that I think you almost, and I'm like not a dumb person, you know what I mean? But I think you almost think that you have to be making a certain amount of money before like you call in the big people. Like, but every bit, I'm telling you from the very beginning, everybody should have an accountant. Everybody should have a lawyer.
Those help too. Said, yeah, lawyers are good too.
Everybody should have an accountant. Everybody should have a lawyer. And it doesn't have to be this. And I know there are a lot of services online where you can sign up for like LegalZoom and that sort of thing and maybe that's an option. I can't speak to it. But I know that just in protection for my business from a legal standpoint, and find one that'll work with you. I mean, lawyers are entrepreneurs too. So right. Find one that work with you. Sometimes you can kind of barter services. I had one of my lawyers like, can we meet for lunch so I can figure out what you do exactly and how you can help me? I was like, yes. If you're gonna barter, yes. So find those that'll work with you, but you absolutely have to have protection for your money. I mean, for your business. So let's talk about the next step before we start. We have a couple of questions. Thank you for my late happy birthday. Thank you. So as you're starting to grow your business financially, what are some of the things that you can put in place to continue to generate revenue, but also be able to invest back into the business?
In order to do that, I suggest that you have some type of planner, sheet, so you can actually keep track of everything. When you're able to keep track of everything, you can see where it goes and you're able to invest back into it. Why are you looking like that?
Because I want you to say it. So, and this is good for everything, but this is especially good for entrepreneurs who start out with the good intentions of keeping their business and their personal separate, but then they are constantly borrowing from their personal.
Well, people do that a lot.
Or they're borrowing from their business to do some personal lifestyle things, and it never gets sorted out in the end.
Well, they're always supposed to be separate. I'm not going to say they're never supposed to be together, because it really just depends on what's going on. So like when you're trying to get financing in your business, you may have to take out a personal loan or personal line of credit in order to get to where you need to be. Right. But you need to have systems in place so that if you get that money, you make sure you pay it back. You treat it as a loan. You don't treat it as, oh, I'm just going to take this money and that's what it is, and I'm not going to worry about paying it back. And that's where a lot of entrepreneurs, I'm not going to say they fail, but they don't do good in it because they don't separate the two. They keep commingling funds. They can't figure it out. So you always separate the two. If you borrow money from yourself, pay yourself back with interest. Treat yourself like the bank. Treat yourself like the credit union.
Okay, well, I hope my dad isn't listening because he gets his money back with interest.
Well, it just depends.
Daddy.
I've had to borrow money from myself, and when I borrow money from myself, I pay myself back with interest, so that way I know I'll pay it back. And that goes back to the beginning where you say, I made $500 profit, but you forgot that you borrowed $150 from yourself. Yeah. You didn't pay yourself back. Yeah. And so you really aren't making money because your personal side is losing money and your business side may be growing, but you're still going to be broke on the personal side. So go ahead.
No, I was going to say no, and I think it's all good stuff. But one, as we close this out, one of the things that I want to talk about that I don't think we talk about enough, also, is just a long-term vision for your business. I think so many of us get caught up in, the day to day. It's like they say that saying where you're working in your business and not on your business, and so essentially you're just an employee that's focused on the day to day tasks, really.
Right.
So what about that long-term vision? Like, how should we set that up? I know that, I tell everybody, like, beginning of Q3, you should already be thinking about 2020. You should already be trying to put stuff on paper and what that's going to look like. But beyond that, do we have a year ahead, then 5 years and 10 years? And how do we create possibly an exit plan?
I think you should have a 3 to 5 year growth plan when it comes to your business. Actually sit down and look at it and say, this is what, these are goals for my business. So that way you have something to look forward to. And that way you can change your mindset, like you said, from day to day or living month to month or year to year, instead of saying, hey, I have a 3 to 5 year growth plan. This is what it looks like. I know what I need to do. I know this is my downtime. Yeah. Q2 may be slow for me. So I know in Q1, I got to be running. Q4 may be slow for me. So I know I got to be running. In the following year, I had to do the things before. So I always suggest that you go ahead, put together a 3 to 5 year growth plan. Go ahead and start securing financing before you need it. You know how hard it is to get money from the bank when you need it?
Yes.
When you don't need it, when you don't need it.
Anybody when you need it.
Yeah, it's really hard to secure financing before. I mean, when you actually need it, depending on the person. Now, if you have A1 credit, I'm not talking about you, but I'm talking about everybody else that needs to know this. Go ahead and secure financing before you need it, because if you secure the financing before you need it, when you actually start growing over your 3 to 5 years, you'll already have it there. You don't want to have to be in a panic to try to get it. You don't want to be busting your butt for 2 years and you get a contract that comes in and they say, well, we need $100,000 worth of product up front, but you can't afford it and you can't finance it. But if you had already had that money back then when things were smooth, they were working out, you were able to go to the bank, to the credit union, to the investors to do everything you need, and you have that money, it makes it easier for you. So always try to go secure financing before you need it, along with that 3 to 5 year growth plan.
And is it a good strategy? Because this is what I've heard, and I haven't really started testing it out because I've always been the kind of person that's like, I don't want business credit, but now I've changed my mind about that. But is it a good idea, like when you don't need it, to start with the smaller loans so you can start building up good credit so that when you do need a large amount of money, or it doesn't work like that?
Well, business credit, it just really depends. It's a numerous ways that you can build business credit, but I always tell people, when you're first starting out with a business, unless your business is just awesome, they're going to go off your personal side. I'm serious. They're going to go off your personal credit. That's what they're looking at first. So people, you can go and you can start getting the vendors and you can do all that. But when you go to the bank, they're going to be like, oh, credit. What's your personal credit look like? We need a personal guarantee on you. And so if you go to the bank and you don't necessarily need $5,000 loan, if you are smart and you are strategic with your plan, go ahead, take the money, pay it back real quick. When you pay it back real quick, it shows the credit union, the bank, the investors that you can do it, that you are smart, you are sensible. Then you can go and ask for some more, and then you can go ask for some more. So by the time you
that's what I was saying. I mean, isn't that's a good plan?
Yeah, you have to. And like I said, some people can go in and just get tons of money, but for those that can't, start small. I taught a business credit class maybe I think a month ago. This lady was like, I don't even need any money. I was like, it don't matter. I was like, but you may need it one day. She went to the bank and they gave her $10,000 and it's a line of credit, so she doesn't have to touch it, and she's building business credit. So everything that happens is under her business side and not her personal side. And that's how Trump and other people get away with it. But then that's a whole nother story and a whole nother life.
I wanted, because I know that you have a free gift, and we're going to drop the link in the comments section. But if you can give them the link and it makes sense, go ahead. But you have a free ebook where they can learn how to build
5 steps to building generational wealth.
Okay.
5 steps to building generational wealth. You can just go to my site, taylee.money, and the pop-up will come up, but we'll still give you the direct link also. But taylee.money, you'll see this big pop-up right? And when you see the pop-up, you can go ahead and sign up and get your free ebook, because before you do a lot of these things, those things are basic steps that will help you accomplish them. And when you get to these things that we talk about tonight, you're going to be like, oh, I got this. This is easy. That's easy breezy like Sunday morning.
And for even more support, though, I really want people to learn more about your ongoing monthly, we meet weekly actually, so I don't even know if it's fair to call it monthly. It's weekly support for entrepreneurs and personally, you know, if you're looking to do it differently, if you're looking to build wealth, you're looking to get rid of debt, tell us about that, because I am a proud member. And I highly recommend it because it has changed my life in the short, I think it's been 2 months that I've been in it. So let's talk a little bit about that.
So the Money Success 365 program is so awesome because it shows you how to be successful with money. So we go over everything that you need. You get your accountability. Whatever your problems is, we're going to talk about them. Yeah. Like, it's no way of getting around it. And I give y'all so much homework. I just want y'all to know. Like, I give you so much homework, but when you actually go through the homework and you finish it, you're like, man, I didn't even know I made this much money. Man, I didn't even know what it looked like, what it felt like just to have pressure off my back because I saved $100 or I made an extra $1,000 in my business and now I'm able to invest. So we talk about budgeting, savings, time management, taxes, money, how to grow your business, social media, everything you need in order to be successful with money 365 days of the year. What's that song? 365 days of the year.
Okay, no, but let's not do that. But and it's interesting because like my oldest son just got his first job, like his first official job. Like he's done stuff, but this is like where he actually has to report the income to the government. And so I'm going to give him one of those trackers because I think, you know, even though he's, you know, had money before and he has his own bank account and all that kind of stuff, just being able to track it and see like where your money goes, I think will be really interesting, especially as he's now, you know, getting to the point where he's soon going to be on his own and is going to have to kind of figure things out, you know, by himself. And so I see how all of these tools, even though it helps me and helps business, how it could be so beneficial to families as they're looking to build generational wealth. And that sort of thing.
And then another thing, when with the trackers, and actually after your son actually starts getting to a certain place, he can start investing. Because that's how you build wealth, investing. We can save, but saving don't do nothing.
And you know what? It's so interesting. It's so easy. You know, it's like I was looking at Cash App the other day. And so, you know, they have all these apps that you can get on Cash App. You can actually buy Bitcoin like right off Cash App. Like, there's so many different things, like even Acorns, where it just takes money off of your purchases. Like, you know, it rounds, you know, a certain percentage. Like if you buy $10 at Walmart, it'll deposit like 20 cents into your Acorns savings account. And so there's so many just things you don't have to think about to start slowly investing. And I know that's part of what you talk about in Money 365 as well. And it's a low monthly cost. It is ridiculous. For some of the stuff that literally it's a meal, like one meal a month. And that's not even like a high price. That's like that's like Chick-fil-A for the family. Even like going out to a really nice restaurant. And for those of you who invest, I mean, if you invest in yourself and you invest tonight and you invest in Money 365, I will throw in one of my free courses on how to leverage the media in order to build your visibility so you can generate more revenue. But that's only for people who decide that they're going to do it tonight. So give us the website for Money 365. Okay.
It's moneysuccess365.money.
You always got the dot money.
Money.
Money365success.money.
Moneysuccess365.money.
Right, that's it. Okay, and we'll put that in the comments below. And the course that I'm going to give for free it's a $197 value. So, well, that's the cost of it. That's not the value of it. That's the cost of it. And so you'll get that on top of what you're going to get with Tay Lee. So you get a free book, you get your money together, and you're going to learn how to pitch the media all in one fell swoop. And you're going to get it all tonight. And so I want to see how many people are going to opt in because it is phenomenal. So Tay Lee, thank you. That's the Birmingham way for everything. That's the perfect Amway. Thank you for everything. You guys will be in the comments for a little bit. If you have any questions about Tay's program or the book or any other questions, we'll be hanging around to help you answer it. And we'll also, if nobody has done it so far, because a lot of people do like to drop links for me, but if you haven't dropped the link, we'll do it in the comments. And we will see you next time. We'll see you next Tuesday. Usually we do this on Tuesdays, but for this week it was Thursday. But next Tuesday we will be back with more information and more conversation. Thank you, Tay.
Bye. Bye.
Bye, you guys.
Bye.